All right, guys, welcome back to BlockHash Exploring the Blockchain. Another episode today, this week. This is episode 281. Today we have Fezyla, I hope I said that right,
Correct.
the COO of KYVE Network, here to chat about what they're doing in the crypto and blockchain space, as well as a little bit about women in crypto and kind of how that is going as well. Fezyla, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. How you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me.
Of
So I'm,
course, of
I'm
course.
doing good here in Dubai. Going in 2 days in Mexico, then Colombia for DEF CON. So really excited.
Are you excited? I know you're kind of far away and doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be traveling for 20 hours for a day, so it's gonna be pretty pretty intense. So I will work.
Mhm.
We're not rich yet to enjoy business class, so it's gonna be interesting. And then I arrive on Monday in Colombia. No, on Sunday. And then on Monday, I have a talk. So it's going to be pretty intense. I'm speaking at InfraCon. I'm going to speak
Mhm.
about KYVE and what we do. And it's going to be actually my first talk as well. Today, my first podcast, and next week, my first talk. So really, really exciting week for me. And yeah, I'm
Yeah,
very
big week. Yeah,
big week.
welcome on for the first time. Congrats.
Thanks.
It's always fun when you hop on a podcast for the first time.
Yeah,
Um, the travel situation is crazy. You're going from Dubai to Madrid to Mexico to
right,
Colombia.
right.
When do you take a break?
I don't know when we launch mainnet, I guess, and then I can finally breathe a little bit. But I'm actually going to Mexico for fun because on
Mhm.
Sunday is my birthday.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a fun weekend. And but yeah, I'm hopefully next year when everything is a little bit more settled, then I'll have time to rest a little bit more. It's been a long time. I
Mhm.
didn't have a big week of holiday. I generally tend to take long weekends, and but it's not the best time right now. We're focused on building it, let's say.
Where do you plan to spend the holidays? Are you going to be in this region around Colombia, or do you want to go back to, you're from France, right? Or,
Right. Yes, I'm from France, but it's been a long time since I live in France.
okay.
Actually, I lived in Germany for 4 years, 5 years. Then I started my nomadic lifestyle, and I'm between Dubai, Rome, Italy, a little bit everywhere.
Hmm.
And now I'm going to spend but actually the next 3 weeks in Colombia, and
Hmm.
then I'm going to spend some days in New York, and then I don't know. I'm actually letting this open because I'm like, let's see who I'm going to meet in Colombia. Maybe there, I don't know. Maybe I'll have an opportunity to go somewhere. So
Hmm.
the idea for me to go to South America is also to for KYVE actually, because we don't have a big presence there. We don't have nor lots of traffic. Brazil is actually the only country we get traffic from. And so this is really for me the idea of like growing a community as well. So I'm letting my calendar open if I need to stay to work on that topic.
Got it. So you have a lot of flexibility. You can bounce
Yes.
around, kind of much, be where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, see if you can go somewhere where there's some snow maybe and enjoy the winter season. I know, between Dubai and I believe Madrid is fairly warm, and Mexico and Colombia, yeah, you're kind of in some, warm tropical climates, dry climates, desert climates.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, no, I actually do everything not to be where the snow is. So I
oh, you
want
do
to
not like the cold?
I do like it, but like a week, like in Switzerland when I
Hmm.
have to I love skiing, but like really, like still for me is in the mountain, not in the city,
Okay.
and so I want to have summer all year long. This is why I
Hmm.
like as soon as it's getting cold in Europe, then I'm like hopping on the flight to somewhere else. This is what I did the last few days, but yeah,
Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, I live in Colombia, so it's tropical every day of the year. So I don't
yeah,
really feel like the seasons ever change. So, and I kind of like that too. I mean, if you're gonna live that lifestyle and kind of
right,
live wherever you want or bounce around, why not be in the best climates? So,
exactly. For how long have you been in Colombia for, actually?
geez, 2, 3 years, I think.
Wow. Okay. And what do you say
Yep.
to the people, especially women? That we're talking about
Hmm.
women. So I'm part of a woman group in on Telegram for the DEF CON conference, and there are
Hmm.
lots of questions regarding security, safety. So what would you say to the women to make them feel safer?
In Colombia and Bogota?
Yes.
In my opinion, it's relatively fine. Bogota has a little bit more of a rougher city than Medellin, but it's not like bad or anything. Colombia is one of those places where, from a safety standpoint, as long as you're doing smart things, you're probably not going to have a problem.
Hmm.
And, knock on wood, I've had more problems living in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Miami and Portland
Right.
in the United States than I've ever had in Colombia.
Yeah.
But it's also a different culture. Whereas there, I can walk down the street, something happens potentially, like you never know.
Yeah.
But here, it's like as long as you're in a good area and you're doing the right things, you're being good to people, and you're living your life, you're not likely to have a problem. The ones that have the problems are usually the expats or the foreigners that come that want to party, that want to
Yeah.
hang out with young girls, that want to do drugs, that get themselves into predicaments.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, don't stress like the security or safety or anything. I mean, it's fine. Just do smart things
Right.
and enjoy, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, no, I feel it's the same. I used to live in Mexico when I was younger, and
Hmm.
so I'm like pretty used to this. I would say type of countries with some drug problems, but
Hmm.
and I always feel like as a tourist we're not so targeted. It's more like the locals actually. Um, but yeah, I know this is a real topic for women. I see it, like, oh,
Hmm.
it's safe. Like, should we share Uber together? Should we create groups? Like, so it's a topic, and
Yeah.
maybe like it has maybe refrained some women to go to DEF CON because of this issue. And of course, we're more easy targets than potentially you men.
Yeah, I understand that as well. Any of the women out there that are listening to this, don't be afraid to go to DevCon, if you can still go, or any conference in Latin America. Um, don't worry about feeling like an easy target or anything. It's not that bad down here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, just be smart. Don't go places alone. Don't put yourself in a bad situation. You'll be fine. Plus, we need more women at these things. I went to Cosmoverse here in Medellin a week ago, which was fantastic, by the way. It was really, really good.
Cool.
But still, just I saw so many men, and I'd like to see more women, because I know there's so many
Right.
women in the space doing great things. And I don't know if it's they like to stay behind the scenes, or they get maybe pushed behind the scenes, or what it is, or their fear of travel or circumstance. Another thing I'd love to chat with you about, since
Yeah.
you're a woman in the space, what you've seen
Hmm.
and kind of how you feel that interaction is going on. If it's a positive, a negative, there's things that need to maybe improve. um, we'll get into that in just a little bit. I want to hear a bit about your story as well. I'm sure the audience does too. What's your background like
Hmm.
before, getting into this wonderful world of crypto and blockchain that we all love, and the craziness and the madness of it all. What'd you do before? And, what was your path, your life trajectory to here, to now?
Yeah, for sure. So before working, so KYVE is my first actually crypto project that I'm working for. I was working as a product manager for a startup in Germany. So the startup was called Payworks, and Payworks was then bought by Visa. So I stayed a little bit less than a year as a product manager still at Visa, and I didn't really like. I mean, it was an interesting vibe, but it was way too corporate for me. And during the pandemic, I remember it was real like. I think it was April or May, and then I decided to quit. I didn't even have a job actually, and I was like, "Fuck it! I need to move. I need to continue my own growth." And because I was already in fintech, of course, I was interested in everything that has to do and is related to payments. And I started to, dig a little bit deeper into the blockchain space. And funny story, I actually invested my first fraction of Bitcoin. It was not an entire Bitcoin. It was in 2017, and because a colleague of mine was always talking about this new technology, Bitcoin, and I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "Just buy it, and then you'll be fine." I was like, "Okay," and then I bought a little bit, and it was like, I don't know, a few days before the crash. So it
Hmm.
was my first interaction with crypto. It was 2 days before the crash. So, but I continued, so it's not a bad
Hmm.
sign. Um, and so after I quit Payworks Visa, then I was okay. I really want to get into blockchain, but I faced, I don't know anyone working in crypto. How should I start? And then I started, digging into my network, contacting people that might know that person. This is something that I might be potentially good at, is like
Hmm.
networking. And then one person led to another person, that led to another person, that led to Fabian and John, so KYVE's co-founders, that were looking for a first employee, let's say, and then it was me. And it was, in the beginning, it was a matter of like few hours a week, to be honest. It was just to do some admin stuff, because they were raising 200K. 200K, and they were like, okay, we don't have time, we are focusing building, we need someone who just like do the paperwork. And I was about to travel to Mexico. I was like, why not like have a first little bit of cash,
Hmm.
and plus it would be for me my first entry point to crypto. So I was like, that's perfect. And it ended up like continuing, and now it's, I don't know, like 1 year, like 8 months that I'm working with them. So yeah, very excited. And before that, as I told you, I was living in Germany for a year and a half, 5 years. Before that, I did a double degree, French and German degree in international economics. And yeah, before that, I was in France, where I grew up. And I did spend a year in Mexico when I was 17. I was living with a Mexican family. I was in the Mexican high school. It's a program done by the Rotary International in order to promote peace. And yeah, so that's a little bit my trajectory.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really cool backstory, and great that you got to live with a Colombian family too, and got to have that
Yeah, Mexican,
experience.
Mexican
Or
family.
sorry, Mexican.
Yeah.
It all, yeah. Sorry, my bad. No,
Similar, similar.
there's a part of my family that's actually Mexican, believe it or not.
Oh,
Um,
really
yeah,
cool.
so, and they've used to live in Mexico City in the past
Okay.
too, and they used to love it. I have a friend that's in Mexico City right now as well. Did you spend any time there?
Yes, yes. Actually, I always go to Mexico City now. Last year I was twice. Now I'm going just for the weekend. I love Mexico City. It's really like, I
Hmm.
love the vibe, and I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, like, but it's still a hidden gem, because the people, they still
Hmm.
tend to go to Tulum, Cancun, like Playa del Carmen, but they don't really go to Mexico City, especially Europeans. Like, maybe in the US it might be a little bit different because you're
Hmm.
closer, but like from Europe, like, you go to Tulum, you don't go to Mexico City. And I don't understand why, because it's like literally the most vibrant city in I've been in a long, like, yeah, I've been ever, and
Hmm.
I'm well traveled. But yeah, I love Mexico City. I
Yeah,
just love
I'm very interested in going soon. I heard their street food is
it.
very good, off the hook.
The
Their street
food,
tacos and
my
everything.
God, the food is amazing. The food is amazing.
Yeah, if there's one thing that gets me to go there, it's definitely going to be that. But I've heard some great things, so hopefully soon.
Yeah, and
Um,
actually, and I've
mhm.
heard that the crypto community is getting bigger and bigger. So this is also very interesting to me. So many Americans now, post pandemic or during pandemic, they moved to Mexico City.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm wondering if they're going to set up a large conference there at some point, or if they have recently in the past, because it might be a really interesting
Yeah,
touristic city to kind of draw some people to.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, so that'd be fun.
That'll be
With
fun.
What about with KYVE? So how did
Yeah,
you become associated with KYVE, or were you part of
yeah,
it when it started up, or did you just get
yeah.
in recently, or?
Yeah, so no, so Fabian and John started like in February 2021, and I joined in March 2021. So it was
Okay.
very quick. So it's very interesting because Fabian, who's the co-founder and CEO, he had already, like, since the beginning, which I found is not so common in projects, that he always wanted like a business non-technical counterpart. And generally I found that projects tend to do that at a very later stage, and for me it was really in the beginning. And And what did I do in the beginning before hiring and now having some help? So I literally did everything non-technical. So meaning starting to, build like a community writing. I suddenly became a content writer, and I had to write blog posts. I was working with investors as well, because we've done a few raises last year and the year before. This year, sorry, and the year before. So I was managing the investment. I was also pitching myself sometimes. So I really did everything so that the two of them could really focus on building. And then, of course, when we had enough money, then I started hire. Our first hire was a community manager who's done a great job. Then we hired a designer. Then we hired more blockchain developers. And now we're, I think, around 15 in the company.
Got it. So what is KYVE Network, maybe in a nutshell?
Yeah, for sure.
And what are you guys trying to accomplish?
For sure. So KYVE is actually a massive data lake. So you can imagine as us connecting to all these layer 1, layer 2s, getting the data and then feeding it to our proof of stake network that validates and store it onto Arweave. So basically what we're trying to do is to help other projects scale, because data is being produced at a very, very enormous speed, and it can become really, it can become a burden for projects. And what we want to do is we want to really help them scale by taking care of their data.
Yeah, when you say data, are you talking about transactional data? Are you talking about on-chain, maybe like storage or?
Yeah, transactional data, on-chain data.
Okay. You guys frame it as data streams. How do you guys account for that? And is it only like on Ethereum, or do you guys work with other blockchains?
No. We really work with every kind. We tend to become blockchain agnostic. So of course, our technology, we're based on Cosmos. So we are a chain that is built using the Cosmos SDK, but we really tend to work with every type of blockchain out there, L1, L2s. Right now, we are working with Arweave as our storage provider, but we also want to work with additional storage provider. So we really want to help. That's potentially a little bit cheesy, but everyone will have and potentially face scalability issue. So we want to help them all.
Got it. Well, which chains have you guys been working on the most as of late?
Yeah. So Moonbeam, Avalanche, Polkadot. I don't have the ranking, to be honest, on top of my mind, what are the most used chain, but everyone, everyone right now, we are connected, I think, with 9 L1s, the major one, and also L2s. Okay. But you really need to envision this as KYVE connecting to all the L1s and the L2s and getting the data to create this massive data lake. So we don't limit ourselves. And then what do you want to do if you're asking what can we do with the data lake? Is then if you're building, you have a project and you want to have to find like a space where the data is valid and it's easy to access it, then you go to KYVE and you use KYVE.
Okay, got it. I also saw you guys had a couple products, something called Warp and something called Kai Store or something like that.
So let's more talk about Warp. Sure. Warp is actually the querying solution. So so again, this big data lake. So if you want to access the data, then you would use Warp. You could also use the Arweave querying querying product, but you could use KYVE.
Okay, cool. Got it. What's your role been like as COO of KYVE? What kind of things on a daily basis do you find yourself maybe working on the most, or handling, or managing?
Yeah, that's interesting. Everyone asks me the question, and it's always so hard for me to answer because I really do everything, but it changes all the time. I'm not saying but the thing is that I don't execute so much anymore. I do tend to always bring initiatives or ideas. I tend to always connect with other chains, or finding external initiatives, going to conferences, or networking, and then potentially finding collaboration between the new person that I have met. but I don't do so much executional work anymore. But it's very broad. I'm very free. I have the chance of, having a huge freedom. So one day I can, help the marketing team. I can help the finance team. I can help Fabian, who might want to discuss something. I can help John. I can try to solve potential miscommunication issues within the team. I can, work on new processes. I can, have calls with investors who wants to have an update. I can, everything and nothing.
Yeah.
It's really broad. It's really broad.
Yeah. So pretty much a broad spectrum of responsibilities and tasks that you take on.
Very broad. Yeah. I think it's very linked to the fact that I, started so early on, so that I really have this broad, how do I say that? Like vision of what's happening. And because I started so early on, I do have a nice understanding of all aspects. So even though I was not a marketer before, because I had to be a content writer for the first 6 months. So now I know about content writing, so I can help the marketing manager who now works on it, which is way better than how I was before, for sure.
Right.
But sometimes she still, needs my opinion, or I might correct sentences. So it's really hard to explain what I do, but I really have a nice overview on all the different aspects. But the engineering team, I cannot help at all. This is the only team that I just trust everything they do, and they are all amazing. John, the CTO, is nothing but a great and very smart person.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm in the same position sometimes when people ask me what I do, and I do a lot of different things. So sometimes I have to just pick one, and I just say that's what I do. That's it. And then other times I have to list everything, and it sounds like I have so many things that it's impossible.
Right.
But and then
Exactly.
so I totally get that.
And I think the most complicated person that I need to explain it is my mom, because first of all, she doesn't know anything about crypto, and then on top of that, I need to explain my job. And every time I see her, she's like, "But what do you do?"
It's hard even today to explain it. It's easier to explain to a lot of my friends, but anytime family asks about work, they know what I do, but they don't fully understand it. So they're always like, "Are you working with the Bitcoin thing still?" And I'm like, in a sense, yes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, Grandma. So.
Well, your grandmother knows about Bitcoin. That's already something.
Yeah, she's done pretty well in Bitcoin, actually. I was surprised.
Really?
I have good stories about that. Yeah, it's crazy. So what are you going to be representing KYVE on specifically? Because you're coming to DevCon, you're speaking at a few things. Is there like something in particular that you guys are doing, like an update or release or something cool on the roadmap, or are you just raising awareness for KYVE, or what's the scoop?
Yeah, so raising awareness for sure. As I told you, we don't have a huge community in South America, in Latin America, or any Spanish-speaking country, actually. So it's really, I think I'll be on a podcast as well in Spanish, as I do speak Spanish. And this is really, raising awareness, trying to grow a community. I'm speaking at InfraCon, which is one day before DevCon. I'm going to participate in a lot of side events. I'm always like the team no sleep, always like going to 3-4 side events a day. And yeah, so what's going on like in terms of roadmap? So we are actually working. We just released 2 days ago our new tokenomics. So basically, before we started actually our journey in 2021 on SmartWeave, which is the smart contracts on Arweave. Then we changed testnet, and then we went on and we tried a little bit on Moonbeam, so Moonbase Alpha. And then we changed again this year in April. And this is where we decided to build our own chain using the Cosmos SDK. And the Cosmos SDK having a inflationary, token schedule, we had to completely change our tokenomics. So we just released this a few days ago to our investors, and we're going to make it public in a few days. We are working on our last chain update before I hope mainnet launch. And of course, then with mainnet launch come lots of initiatives like, Dex listing, a grants program that I'm working on. Lots of things coming up.
When's mainnet launch? Is that coming up soon?
So it's planned for Q4. It's hard to give an exact date.
Q4 of this year?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So probably sometime around the holidays.
Let's see.
Maybe. Okay, cool.
Let's see. It really
I like
depends.
the suspense.
No, it really depends on the chain update that the team is working on. So again, like we had to change so many things because of the Cosmos SDK, and the tech team is doing an incredible job, but they're also human, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer than expected, especially in a tech company.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I had an outage in my audio.
Uh-oh. Better?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry about that. It's have this awesome microphone by Pod Mic microphone by Rode, and it connects via XLR. I don't know if you know some of this stuff or not, 'cause it's kind of a little technical, but it has this really cool interface. But for whatever reason, and I don't understand why, it runs on battery.
Okay.
And I can't just plug it into the wall or into my computer and let it charge. So I have to have rechargeable batteries that I swap out every week or so. And it's just kind of inconvenient in today's age of being able to just charge everything. So
yeah.
Oh, well.
We should work more on the wireless world, I think.
Yeah, we should. I think more should be wireless. I don't know why it isn't in 2022.
I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy part. And then also, a lot of things in this space too. The fact that there's not enough dApps that are on the phone and everything's a lot, heavily browser based is also kind of crazy, because, everyone has a smartphone. There's more people with a smartphone in Latin America than a laptop.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're cutting off a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting, because just yesterday I was actually telling the marketing manager today. Just yesterday I watched an interview of Mark Cuban, and he was saying that actually even the internet, was launched in '95. We had to wait really until we had usage of our phone to really see the power of the internet and all the application. And he said this is something that will happen for crypto. And this is why, only investing in mainstream crypto projects. And I find very interesting.
Yeah, me too. One more big question that I want to get to that we talked about briefly at the beginning is this idea of women in crypto. And I know you're a woman in crypto. I kind of want to get your opinion on, where you think the space is at with inclusion of women, wanting them to be more a part of it. Do women feel like they're able to be a part of this industry? Do they feel like they get the same opportunity to be a part of it? I don't. The reason I ask is I don't see a lot of women at some of these conferences or some of these events. There's a lot of them online, and so some of the smartest stuff being done in the space is being done by women too. So I'd love to kind of hear your opinion on where you think things are kind of at, and some of the good and some of the bad.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to speak about this, first of all, because I don't. I'm only myself. I cannot speak for the women. I do not represent them. However, I do feel that we can do way more. We can do way more, and sometimes I've already heard it, and I feel it's hard to acknowledge the fact for some people, especially for men, that there is more to do. Because you can always have a mindset, no, but look, there's already it's way better than before. I hear that a lot. Oh, but like 5 years ago it was worse. Okay, but it's not because it's better that we cannot still continue and make it even better. Because whenever I go to a conference, I've never experienced that in my life. Then I go to let's say, I don't know, Solana Breakpoint closing party, that there
Mhm.
is no line in the female bathroom. So this is like, for me, this is so like anecdotic, but it's like it will never happen in real life. This will be the opposite, and
Mhm.
because there's just, you go in all the conferences and there's only men, and then the women, they are there, but maybe we don't see them so much, or maybe we don't give them the option to be more public. And that's funny because earlier we spoke about Cosmoverse, but Cosmoverse, I applied to speak, I applied to be part of the panel, and I was not accepted. So they and you tell me that you couldn't see a lot of women. So then I'm like, okay, but then they potentially saw that, and okay, I don't want to blame anyone, of course, but and this is like an overall statement for all the conferences, but I do feel that maybe they should do a little bit more in terms of diversity, saying, okay, we have 95% of men speaking, maybe we can give the chance of, like, maybe a not so known girl, but maybe she's going to bring as much value as someone that potentially has already spoken many times, and
Mhm.
and I feel that in order to achieve more diversity, we need to have allies, and first of all, we need to recognize that there's an issue. And I feel that some people might not still not recognize this. It's like, oh, but it's only about talent. It's we don't see colors, we don't see the gender, but we are two type of gender, or even more. Don't want to get too
Mhm.
political, but so we do need to recognize that we are different in order to take the actions. And um, and but it also depends on the projects. For example, at KYVE, we were not so much. I was alone as a woman for, I think, the most majority of it, and now we have this great marketing manager. And I want to do more, of course, but the question is how can I do more. It's also the
Mhm.
question that I'm facing, even though I'm potentially in a position to bring more women, but it's the question is how. And then what I've been doing myself, and I encourage all women to do it, is to educate women in crypto. And all of my friends, non-crypto friends, that not all of them, but what I do generally is I sit with them, I show them how to set up a wallet. I explain them the concept of crypto. Help them to register to Binance or Coinbase or whatever. I like doing these steps. And every time I've done that, the same reaction was like, oh my God, it's not so complicated than I thought. Because there's already also this barrier of thinking, oh, it's too technical. I don't understand, now it's too technical. But it's actually not, it's not so technical. I mean, if you understand like the basis of decentralization, of immutability, if, this is easily understandable if you understand it like correctly, if you explain it correctly. So I feel we need to educate. I think we need more men allies. I think we need to give more chances in less known people. That's great to have great, super famous speakers at an event, but that's also maybe okay to give the chance to someone less known that potentially will bring as well a lot of value. And yeah, just like be more inclusive. I think it's just representation matter. Just today, my colleague was telling me, when she sees someone like a female leader in the space, then she's thinking, oh, I can it can be me. It's
Mhm.
and so representation matter, and we can have the same topic for also people of color. I see none, like I see very, very little. And I think we need to do way more in order to be inclusive. But it would be a sad world if then it would be only tech white dude.
Mhm. Right,
So
right.
so it's just like, let's be more inclusive. But also what I've noticed is that in terms of education, there's a lot of platform. However, I've noticed is mainly in English. And this is also something that I'm thinking of. It's like, okay, what can we do to make it more local? For example, it's very hard to find great educational platform in French. And as you know, French people, they tend to, not speak so well in English, or they tend to prefer learning something in French because it's just easier. It's their native language. So it's also, a matter of like creating those local communities that will bring more inclusion.
Yeah, you make a couple really, really good points. Another being language. There's so much of this space that kind of revolves around English.
Yes.
And then, there's a lot that happens in Japanese and Korean, in Mandarin as well. And that's like a whole separate section of this industry that no one can really touch because there's a language
Yeah,
barrier.
true.
And then, yeah, there's a lot of different languages across Europe and Latin
Yes.
America. Yeah, obviously Spanish is a big one.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that, just seeing it, being a barrier to a lot of people trying to understand certain aspects of the tech or wanting to become a developer or be a part of the space in some kind of way. And that's definitely a gap that we need to try and fill, which is why I like having events down here. It's really fun to get people locally to come in and see
Yes.
it and feel a part of it. Like Cosmoverse was great for that. People had translators on, they could listen to everything, they were
That's
learning.
cool.
Hopefully the same thing in DevCon too.
Yeah.
And then the other point, um, about some of these events with women, I don't know what it is. I don't know it because what's funny is, and I won't name names or companies or anything like that, but they'll say it's because maybe there's more notoriety, more popular or something like that for whatever reason. So, I get that. But at the same time, I've been in the space as long as they have, almost a decade. And I've seen it from like infancy to now. And I can tell you, I don't know who those people are on stage.
Mm,
So I'm like, if I've never heard of them, I really don't know them. No one's really going to understand or care. Then
mm,
why aren't you trying to bring on some more women? Like, why is that an argument?
yeah.
If you're going to show people in the space that are new and doing cool things, why not women too?
Exactly.
So I don't know. There's some things that are a little silly.
Yeah.
Things have gotten a little bit better, but
Yeah.
still, I'd like to see more because I want to go to a conference and hear from a lot of different people, different
Yeah.
backgrounds, some different cultures. So yeah,
Yeah.
you nail a couple good points.
But you know what, and I do understand as well in the business perspective, it's like,
Hmm.
conferences are costly, and we need to bring, as you say, famous, speakers in order to sell tickets. So I do understand the business point of view. I'm not saying that, they shouldn't do that at all, but like you can still have like a pretty nice ratio.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I look at the flyers, like the agenda, it's like 30, 40 men and two
Right.
women. And I'm like, can you
Exactly.
can you add in two more? Like,
Exactly. But then at the same time, I don't want to be added because I'm a woman, It's like
I
I
get
want
that
to be
too.
added because they feel that I will bring something useful and that I'll be an added value to the topic and to the audience. But I don't want to be invited just because I'm a woman. That would be sad. But
Yeah.
however, I do feel confident that I have nice things to say, and other women as well, out there that don't have the same platform.
Yeah, there's been a couple smaller events, even here in Medellin, for women in crypto and women in Web3 more broadly, kind of like supporting the women and kind of giving them all the tools they need, showing them into the space, giving them the confidence. Maybe I think that's one thing is they don't feel confident, maybe get in because it does seem very male dominated.
Right. Exactly.
Have you been a part of like smaller events and gatherings and meetups and stuff like that and kind of
Yeah,
had those experiences?
Um, that's very interesting. No, actually, no. I wanted to go to. I mean, I'll probably go to If Medellin.
Hmm.
Maybe you'll be there.
Hmm.
And same as I have applied as a speaker, but I think that they have changed the agenda, so they are not going. No one is going to speak from what I understood.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I have not done like so smaller venue yet. Maybe this is like a nice point. But also there's something very interesting that I also wanted to bring, is that what I felt as well is that you talked about confidence, and I
Hmm.
think that you're right. You need to have like some kind of a uh, confidence to be able to speak. However, I also feel that some women, they tend to want to change themselves in order to fit
Sure.
this manly and mainly dominated environment. And I have a very I'm not a nice story, but I have this story to tell you. I was at Rave in Paris, Rave in Paris. So we
Hmm.
were dancing, and I was with that young lady who was starting her project. And then she told me, "Oh, Fezyla, I don't know, I don't feel like dancing. I cannot dance like myself." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "Because I don't know. I'm afraid that I might be seen as not so serious." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Look around. Like, look at the 90% of men surrounding us. You think that any of those guys have that thought right now?" Like, no, be yourself. And
Hmm.
this is also something that I always say to my fellow lady. I like makeup. I like being feminine. I like laughing. I like partying. And I'm not going to change myself in order to fit in this, nerdy potentially,
Hmm.
world. I and this needs to also come from other women. We need to stay ourselves in order to be also accepted.
Yeah, I'll echo that as well. Definitely just be yourself and enjoy. Don't worry about what people think. Who cares?
Right.
At the last party of Cosmoverse, the guys were upstairs, getting Cosmoverse tattoos on their back in the middle of the party, in the middle of the
I
night
love
at
it.
like maybe 1 in the morning. You telling me that's not professional? I mean, and there's nothing
Exactly.
about this space professional. I mean, if Vitalik Buterin's been like the poster child forever, and he's wearing unicorn shirts, and he's the
Yeah.
silliest guy ever. So yeah, be yourself. Who
Be
cares? It's
yourself.
uniqueness, especially in this space, is
Exactly.
huge too.
Exactly. And also, like, crypto was, I feel, created really like to be against, a little bit the establishment, the banking system, like
Hmm.
those big players. So I'm like, we shouldn't like then go back and try to fit in what they felt it was should be the reality.
Yeah, yeah. We're all in this together too. I mean, we all have the same goal. I mean,
Right.
so anyways, to kind of start wrapping it up, where can people go to learn more about what you guys doing at KYVE?
Sure. So KYVE Network,
Hmm.
very easy. KYVE Network. We have a Discord. Please come to our Discord. You'll find lots of great community, always very helpful. Twitter, KYVE Network as well. Um, and Telegram, KYVE on Telegram. We have a blog on Medium where we always, write nice article about what we're doing. We always try to be very transparent and to communicate everything we do to the community. So yeah, that's
Where
it.
can people find you online on social media?
So on Twitter, so
Hmm.
Madame Satoshi, Madame written in French, so with the E, Madame Satoshi,
Hmm.
and yeah, and that's it.
Awesome. Guys, go check out Fezyla, go check out KYVE and everything they're doing. If you're able to go to DevCon, go to DevCon. I heard it's going to be a lot of fun. Come to ETH Metagene. I'm going to try to be at that one as well.
Nice.
This is like the blockchain month kind of for Colombia. Like the last 2 months, it's a little crazy right now.
Cool.
Yeah, but yeah,
I'm
come
so
down,
excited.
people. If you're able to, it's a lot of fun down here right now. Very safe, very secure. Don't worry about it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video down below if you have not already. Fezyla, thank you for taking the time to come on. Really appreciate it. And congrats on your first episode. Went really
Thank
well. Good
you
conversation.
so much. Thank you so much. I loved it.
All right. Take care. Safe travels. Let me know when you get to Colombia. And yeah, we'll meet up or
Well,
something.
sounds good. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.